Hello, hello. Yeah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable President, keynote speakers, researchers, faculty members, chief guest, and our students, Assalamu alaikum. I, Rosie Pinjwani, student of MS-ELM.
And I am Muhammad Afzal, student of MS-ELM. We are going to be your host for today's event.
Zabes Education Department's contribution in improving the quality of teaching and learning needs no introduction. MS-ELM and PhD-ELM are two well-known offers. Along with this, it has opened its door for BS in Educational Psychology. On behalf of Educational Department, we welcome you all to the second Global Conference of Educational Research. The theme of today's conference is Resilience, Reformation, and Restructuring in Education.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm extremely honored and very much pleased to invite to join hands with SZABIST for the most awaited event of the year, which is Global Conference on Education Research, organized by Department of Education, SZABIST University. Please join hands for the entire team and to make a quick start of this session for today. Ladies and gentlemen, resilience is an art and science of living successfully even in the most difficult situations. In education research, empirical and conceptual studies on the topic of resilience has brought a framework for all of us to examine why some students are more successful even in the most difficult social, economical, diverse background and why some are not.
Winston Churchill once said, and I quote, "To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often." Reform means to make a change to make something better. Reformation in education has a huge research and in the field of education.
Continuous reforms in education results into restructuring. And we all know that restructuring has immense potential and a greater impact on overall well-being, success, and prosperity of the students and the societies.
Under the umbrella of these themes, today's conference objectives are designed to increase the visibility of these themes by disseminating the research done in these areas, as well as highlighting the knowledge and share the findings with all of us.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start the formal proceeding of today's event with the verses with the recitation of the verses from the Holy Quran. May I request the sound engineers and teams to play it?
الرحمن الرحیم اللہ کے نام سے شروع جو نہایت مہربان رحم والا. اقرأ بسم ربک الذی خلق، پڑھو اپنے رب کے نام سے جس نے پیدا کیا. خلق الانسان من علق، آدمی کو خون کی بھٹک سے بنایا. اقرأ وربک الاکرم، پڑھو اور تمہارا رب ہی سب سے بڑا کریم. الذی علم بالقلم، جس نے قلم سے لکھنا سکھایا. علم الانسان ما لم يعلم، آدمی کو سکھایا جو نہ جانتا تھا.
Jazakallah.
Please rise as now the national anthem of Islamic Republic of Pakistan will be played.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you might have noticed something really interesting and amazing in this video which was displayed. These children who were showcasing their talent, they might not possess few of the senses like speaking or listening, but surely they possess a solid sense of what they can do and what they can change with their motivation and positivity. So I believe it was extremely heartwarming display of resilience. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for all these children who displayed national anthem with such dedication. Now it is time to invite somebody who is extremely experienced and renowned. I would like to introduce you with the president of Zabes University, Madam Shaynaz Vasir Ali, who has had an illustrious career over a time span of 40 years in education sector. She is very well known for his work related to women rights in Pakistan, and she is considered as one of the top torchbearer in this field. Her footprints are not only available at provincial and national level, but also are visible at international level, as she is deeply involved in polio eradication program, social sector, education sector reforms, education policy, and rights of women. She also is a dedicated member and a lifetime trustee with the Nasra Education Foundation Trust. She served as a senior education specialist in the World Bank, as well as a position of Minister of State for Education. She is on board as a board member, as a trustee, and as a council advisory for many prestigious national and international institutions like IBA, like Higher Education Commission, regional and federal government, social policy development centers, Women Action Forum, and executive board at UNESCO. So the list continues as she holds a master's degree in education from University of Arkansas and a certificate in education administration from Trenton College, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request in your thunderous applause the President of Zabes, Madam Shaynaz Vasir Ali, to come on stage to commence this year's Global Education Conference. Madam, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It gives me enormous pleasure today to share some thoughts with you at the opening of an absolutely amazing conference that has been put together. The second global conference on educational research hosted by SZABIST. And the topics are resilience, reformation, and restructuring in education. I want to take this opportunity to thank our Dean, Dr. Riaz Sheikh Sahab, for his leadership as the Dean of Social Sciences and Education in guiding the development of this conference. I also want to thank in particular our head of department, Dr. Najmunisa, whose dedicated efforts in establishing this Department of Education, Leadership and Management at SZABIST, and also strengthening its courses, its quality, making it relevant to the needs of the education community in Karachi. And I want to thank with Dr. Najmunisa the entire team from her department, all the faculty and all the assistants. We are very, very pleased to have here with us today the Vice Chancellor of Sindh Madrasatul Islam University. And let me take this opportunity, sir, to congratulate you that it is now a university. It has been a university for some time, but I have not had an opportunity to officially congratulate you on the Sindh Madrasatul Islam, which this Sindh Madrasatul Islam, as you all know, is the most historic seat of learning in Karachi, where the Quaid-e-Azam also studied, and several other notable personalities studied, and I hope you will share a little bit of the history so that our audience here becomes familiar because it is institutions that build a country. It is not just personalities, but with the personality, there's an institution that lives longer and outlasts the personality. So for me, I've always felt that it's a distinct pleasure whenever I have visited your university to know about its origins, its past, its guiding mission, and we'd like to hear from you a little bit about it. Dr. Moji Boudin Sarai Mehman Saab is the Vice Chancellor of Madrasatul Islam University. He's our chief guest here today, and I'm sure that you will learn a great deal from his valuable thoughts. The conference is such a rich conference that I feel that I don't want to miss 1 minute of any session. There are sessions on digitizing education, the use of digital technology. There are sessions on research. There's a session on academia and industrial linkages. And in this case, academia and linkages is linkage with the entire education sector. Not only that, but also those who use the graduates that come out of the education sector. So the linkage with the world, the marketplace. Several other sessions about teaching, learning, about emotional attitudes and behaviors and the history of a child that affects his or her learning experience. There are sessions on language, there are sessions on pedagogy, there are sessions particularly on the recent reform efforts in the education sector. So for those of our students here from SZABIST, from ELM, I think this is going to be a very valuable opportunity. We also have, and I want to thank once again Dr. Riyaz and Dr. Najmunisa and your team for putting together a very, very exceptional list of speakers from Malaysia, from New Zealand, from Australia, from Turkey. So you have a vast array while you sit right here at our campus in Karachi to actually be sitting in a global conference. And the global world today is no longer constrained by physically having to go somewhere. We can sit right here in the ease and comfort of our classrooms and auditoriums and have the benefit of speakers who may be sitting in a university in America, in UK, in Australia, in Canada, in Europe, in Malaysia, in Turkey. And I would strongly urge that every participant in this conference look up also the biodatas of the speakers that are going to be addressing you from the international stage. And it's really important to know about others and what they're doing in their lives and how they're thinking. So my question that came to my mind was that why resilience and why reformation and restructuring? Why didn't we just say this is a conference on teaching techniques or on quantitative research and analysis methods or on the history of education or on educational psychologists that have impacted learning? Because really, this is a changed world. It is no longer what it was a year ago, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. The COVID, terrible pandemic of COVID, has affected everything, the way we live, the way we work, the way we interact, the way we learn. And therefore, we need to be resilient. We need to be adaptable. And we must throw away the old attitudes कि हम पहले इस तरह करते थे तो अभी भी हमें इस तरह करना चाहिए. अब जो हम पहले करते थे वो इस वक्त शायद डिजिटल वर्ल्ड में इतना effective नहीं है. It's not that applicable. So how do you become resilient? How do you open your minds? How do you accept change? And how do you accept yourself entering that different world of resilience, change, adaptation? I'm sure all of you must have had some moments of worry, apprehension, and tension when you were told, please go online, start teaching online. It was not that easy. How do you transfer an in-person instructional experience into an online experience? It's not easy. Many of us were really worried. Can we do it? Can our students really learn? And similarly, students were worried. Their families were worried. Their parents were worried. The support departments were worried. But people were resilient. They did change. Today, we are sitting here as an example of online global conference. That's what this is about. So we have the benefit of people sitting in different parts of the world. So resilience to change is critical. Countries that do not change and people that do not change are left out. We cannot continuously say, because we did this in the past, therefore this is exactly what we must do in the future. So what about restructuring? Restructuring is part of the changed order. Restructuring means that how do educational systems, the teaching learning process, the thinking, writing and research process, how should it be restructured in our school, college and university environments? How should the classroom be restructured? How should the learning processes be restructured? And that's very critical. And once again, if restructuring is required, and it is required today, because knowledge and information is being produced at a rate, it's almost like the speed of light. If you want to pick up your little cell phone and you find out about something, 5 days later, if you look at it again, there's something new. So science, technology, thinking is changing. So restructuring of the way we deal with information. And of course, I think you've got this very interesting title, which is called Reformation. And I think Reformation lies very much at the heart of the intellectual, modern mind. And for us, it's a great privilege to have Dr. Riaz Sheikh at SZABIST. He has been at SZABIST for many years. He's a progressive thinker. He's a believer in human rights. He's a believer in intellectual freedom. And he's a believer in allowing people to push the frontiers of knowledge by questioning. So Reformation is a great deal about values, about morality, about attitudes, and reforming. If educationists can reform society, do they have a role to play? And in what ways can they reform not just the education curriculum, but the entire social model within which we live? Because the social model within which we live is impacting the way we work, the way we teach, the way we operate in our learning surroundings. So I would not go through all the different sessions, but I strongly urge everyone here to look through the entire program, see what are the exciting, wonderful topics that we have, to engage each and every one of you. And I do hope that you will find this experience valuable and that you will take away from it many, not only pieces of new learning and new knowledge, but you will share also in the sessions, because everybody here is an educator, and education is a two-way stream, a two-way road. It's not just teacher to the audience, it's always now back and forth. So I hope there will be interactive sessions, and I want to thank you, Dr. Saab, once again, for giving us the privilege of joining us today here, and we look forward to your very open-hearted speech as you see where we stand today in the context of restructuring, reformation, and resilience. And once again, welcome to everyone, and I hope you have a very productive day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Shaynaz. This was truly inspirational, highly motivational, and very much enlightening. We are extremely honored to have you with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's over to my colleague.
Thank you. Now it's time to introduce our chief guest, who needs no introduction, actually. So, Dr. Moji Boudin Memon holds PhD in Mechanical Engineering from Success University. Presently, he is Vice Chancellor of Sindh Agriculture 1, Sindh Madrasatul Islam University, one of the oldest agricultural university of Pakistan. With his efforts, university has built up strong agriculture extension setup in collaboration with progressive growth and farmers. Dr. Memon has 28 years of teaching experience, research and administrative experience. Prior to his present assignment, he has served as a Director, Continuing Education and Founder Principal of Mehran University College of Engineering and Technology, Khairpur Mir at Mehran University of Engineering and Technology, Jamshoro. Dr. Maiman has also supervised various PhD and master's projects and is the author of 54 publications. Based on his academic and research performances, the Higher Education Commission, HSE, honored him with the Best University Teacher Award in year 2008. Let's give warm welcome as I invite on stage today's honorable chief guest, Professor Dr. Moji Boudin Sahrai Maiman, to share his thoughts regarding the conferences.
A very learned educationist, social scientist, Dr. Shaynaz Vasir Ali, the president of SZABIST, Dr. Riaz Sheikh, Dr. Najm Nissa, the faculty, the students, Dr. Stephen, chairperson from my University of the Education Department. A very good morning. Thank you for my introduction. It was very interesting and I forgot, honestly, where I stand today. Just to make a bit touch to it, that I used to be the Vice Chancellor of Agriculture University, Tandojam, and I moved in 2020 August to Karachi at SMIU. So SMIU is now General University and I'm working there. And I'm thank you, very thankful, honestly, that you carry on my journey from Khairpur to Karachi. वो हम कहते हैं सिंधी में कश्मीर to Karachi, so I am also coming from Khairpur to Karachi. You know, having stations at Tandojam, Jamshoro, Sakran. I used to be a acting vice chancellor of Sakran as well for 2 years as a veterinary university, being a part of connected with the agriculture university. So thank you very much for making me part of this conference. I am a strong believer जब आपकी सुबह इन चीज़ों से शुरू हो. So it's good to start at 10 o'clock from SZABIST. Coming to the topic of the conference, to be very honest, when I see here, which is the Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, which is the title of your university, I think this is the one of the most resilient person we have observed of the 20th century. And so you people are the generation of this institute, and you must be knowing what we mean by resilience in modern times. Again, we saw, like Madam said herself, that in the last 3 years particularly, that what we have not seen and what we have not observed and how we have really become resilient to the various issues. So to name it like a COVID, we saw that it touched almost every part of the world. I mean, nobody is in isolation. And the same way, it covered and it touched all the aspects of the life. You name it like health, education, psychology, economy, you know, everything. To a certain extent के हमारा जो marital relations हैं वो भी उसके ज़िद में आ गए और बताया गया कि in the modern, like I'm sorry to say, but it is a fact. If you go and see the surveys, you will find that there is a huge rise in the divorce rates, which is having a relation with the psychology. और हम जैसे मर्द अगर बैठे होंगे घर में तो ये हो जाता है. So we have to see like that. But then we see that particularly the health and education sector, it exposed, in fact, the world when we talk about the health. And it exposed particularly our part of the world, that where we stand in health sector. This is where we have a clear comparison between the developing and developed world. But to be very honest, the positive thing, the thing which really made this whole world proud, in fact, is that every part of the world played their role towards the development of this vaccination. what I have learned and what I have gone through the various literature surveys, I found that it is the shortest period of this 21st century, in the 21st century, in fact, where we have emergence of a vaccination in a very short time. Of course, we were worried, and I can imagine first person, I don't know who was that, who was given this vaccination, and uske upar kya guzri hogi, we can understand. But then the world goes on, and we saw the variety of the vaccines coming from the various parts of the world, which is a shining aspect of a health sector. कि किस तरह हमने, और Pakistan in fact have contributed even with its limited resources. So to be very honest, when we saw this COVID and had this understanding कि हम में से कुछ लोग शायद कह रहे होंगे कि बड़ी अच्छी वेकेशन है और 10-12 साल चलेगी, और कुछ लोगों को वरी थी कि दुनिया कैसे चलेगी. So there were, mixed people, mixed ideas, mixed efforts, and we saw that in fact in a year we had a good news of a vaccination. Or alhamdulillah, today we see that the world is almost safe. Of course, it is not over. We are still under the influence of this pandemic. So the second sector which must be the part of this conference is the education. Now again, you see, like this part of the world, or if I just particularly look at the Pakistan, तो ये जो तीन चीजें हम यहाँ पे हमने इस conference के keywords हैं, so we know that this part or this country was already going through the various stages and emergences of going through all these aspects. अभी हमने इनको cover ही नहीं किया, और अभी हमें बहुत कुछ करना है, frankly speaking. And then we face and we encountered the COVID. So it was a great challenge, I think, for all of us, being an educationist, being a teacher, being a student, being a researcher, that how to encounter and how to face and how to continue the pace of work, the pace of research, the pace of education in this country. And then again, honestly, I'm very proud to see that the whole population, all parts of this country, you name it, we may say the remote part of the country, maybe the Khuzdar in the Balochistan, where I saw that the students and the teachers, I know particularly myself, the Khuzdar Engineering University, for example. I used to be the external examiner there, so I have contacts, and I saw that how they are imparting the education in these circumstances, and they were doing very well. So what to talk about Karachi when I'm talking about the Khuzdar? What to talk about Islamabad when I'm talking about Khuzdar? What to talk about Karachi when I'm talking about Gilgit and Baltistan, where they faced and encountered and they survived. Let me tell you, in my generation, myself, have gone through 2-3 such sort of era. When I was a child, just like 8 years old, I went through a 1971 war. When I was 14 years old, or 13 years old, I went through a huge, heavy flood across the whole country. आपको शायद आप में से बहुत यंग फेसेस मुझे नज़र आ रहे हैं, तो उन्होंने 97 की वार देखी होगी, और मुझसे पहले 1965 भी हुई थी, वो कुछ लोगों ने देखी होगी. At that time I was just 2 years old, so I don't remember that, but I remember 1971 war. तो जब वार हुई तो हमारा 1 साल चला गया एजुकेशन का. You see, we just lost 1 year of education. हमारे schools, colleges, universities were part of the people have a shelter, they become shelter. And similarly, when we had a 1977 flood, again the people came and took a shelter in the educational institutes. जो हमारी unfortunately इस part में number 1 shelter होता है जब भी कोई emergency होती है. So you see, in my life, in my career, in my educational career, in my academic career, I'm a loser of 3 years. I would have graduated 3 years younger than I did in 1988. I would have done my graduation in 1985, in fact. if I would not have gone through these three phases. So the two which I have already mentioned, the flood and the war. And the third one was many crises in the education institutes in that time. You have, unions issues and, political issues. तो एक साल उसमें भी हमारा चला गया. But particularly when I'm talking about these two aspects, one is the flood and the one the war, जहाँ पर हमारी कोई गलती नहीं थी, किसी person की गलती नहीं थी, but it was a natural disaster or some political and geopolitical problems. तो we just lost it. और यही, frankly speaking, if we would have been in the 20th century or in the, even up to the last part of the 20th century, we might have lost again 2 years because of this pandemic. But even when I'm talking about Pakistan, I must say, and I am the witness of that almost we have not lost a single day. I think you all are the part of that. Almost, I would say. Maybe if you calculate all in numericals, you may end up with the 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, varies from institute to institute. But I myself have seen as an administrator, as an educationist, as a professor, that we are not loser of almost a single day of this pandemic. We immediately switched over to our digital mode. And I think the credit must go to the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, to the Sindh Higher Education Commission, to the federal government, to the provincial governments, everybody who has played that significant role to save the time of this world, to save the time of this country. And I think particularly our province, the Sindh province, has been a leading province, frankly, to encounter this pandemic. And we must give credit to this, to the present government. It become, in fact, I don't talk on the political sides, but it is the true, and it is the fact, and one shall always be appreciating also. We shall not be always criticizing the things which are the fact. I think the Sindh province was given a leading sign around the world, in fact, over the world. Sindh government में ये हो रहा है और Sindh government में ये हो रहा है. So I think the Pakistan and the provincial governments did a wonderful role, and the higher education, madam being a member of the HEC, must be knowing that. And in fact, I was very surprised to see कि हमने उस digital mode में कैसे transform किया अपने आप को. Very interesting example I give you, because at that time I was a vice chancellor at Agriculture University Tandojam. और आपको पता है एग्रीकल्चर एक रवायती, जैसे रवायत है हमारी, एक कन्वेंशनल प्रोफेशन है, तो यूनिवर्सिटी भी एक कन्वेंशनल मोड में चलती रही है वहाँ. इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू ब्रिंग द चेंजेस देयर, यू नेम इट. सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड बीइंग अ वाइस चांसलर टू ट्रांसफॉर्म द होल सिस्टम इनटू द डिजिटल वर्ल्ड एंड इनटू द डिजिटल मोड. एंड आई गिव यू वन एग्जांपल. So when हमने सारा काम कर दिया, हमने meetings कर दी, and we decided that now from the next week we are going to switch over from our physical classes to the digital mode. There were persons who were, of course, by their, frankly, by their knowledge, by their awareness, by their exposure, they were not willing to switch over. They didn't know how to do it, frankly speaking. And I remember there was a professor from Social Development Department. He came to me and he said, I need the exclusive time of your good self. I said, you are welcome. And he said, Professor Saab, I don't know how to use the computer. He was very polite, very humble, frankly. ये मैं मिसाल देता रहता हूँ, तो आपको भी बता रहा हूँ. And I realized he's right. He's now almost 58, 59 years old. He's going to retire in 1 year. And he has no sort of that, I shall say, sort of temperament that he wanted to continue and he wanted to be active after his retirement into the education maybe. So his world was almost over as an educationist. And what shall I talk to him? So just to be very honest, I would have said to him, okay, we will spare you or whatever. So I said, be resilient as your topic is. And I said, Professor Saab, it would be difficult for you. He said, how? I said, I may not be able to release your salary from the next 3 months. Just kidding, frankly speaking. It didn't mean that. He was a bit worried. And he said, is it really that? I said, now it comes in another mode. Maybe he loses heart. So I said, no, I mean, not necessarily, but there could be instructions. And your performance will be watched that how many classes you have taken in the next 6 months. So yes, it could be. But so this is why you have to be a bit. Believe me, after 1 month, the same professor, 58 years professor, came to me with his laptop. With his laptop. And I said, what is that? He said, Professor Sahab, I have purchased this laptop. And I sit with my son and daughter, and they have trained me. Now I am able to teach. And I am connected. And you go and see on your portal that how many classes I have taken. I said, oh my God, this is... So you see, this is how the people have shown their resilience and, and they become the model, frankly. And after him, Tandojam transformed, the people who had a certain resistance, who had a certain sort of mindset that maybe, we have escaped, we have some sort of excuses. So now everybody say, I shall not take the name of that professor, I will try my best to avoid. So they keep on saying, look at him. So if he can do it, we can do it. And the same way went to my students. You see, the students in Tandojam come across the whole country. At a Tandojam, I had a population from Balochistan was like a 10% student come from Balochistan to Tandojam. And they were sitting in various parts of the Balochistan and the remote parts of the Balochistan. So there were many issues, frankly speaking, coming from them as well. That how we shall be connected. This facility, that facility was the requirement. We keep on having a contact with them on telephone, on sale, and let them know. And then HEC gave us some good amount to really facilitate the students and the teachers. We utilized that. And this is how, honestly speaking, because most of the part of this pandemic, I was at Tandojam. Tandojam survived, not only survived, but we not lost a single day of our academic calendar, though there were some adjustments. And then exams came again. Exam was a very beautiful example of this pandemic. Because we here are class-oriented, class-centered people. Our teaching is a class-centered, teacher-centered. Whatever we teach, we exam. So everybody was against. ये कैसे होगा अब आप ये एग्जाम करवाएंगे आप ओपन बुक एग्जाम करवाएंगे आप स्टूडेंट्स को कहेंगे आप घर बैठकर एग्जाम दो it's different but I was honestly from my core of heart this is what I liked when I was a child. I hate that when I was a child I was told that come with this syllabus and there will be 5 questions you have to do this and all this ratification and all that. And being myself, I don't know how it was, but from my childhood, I didn't like it myself. और मुझे बड़ी कुफ़त होती है जब मुझे एक बुक का फॉलोअर होना पड़ता है. मैडम ने कहा इधर आप खोल के बात करें तो मैं खोल के बात कर रहा हूँ. So you see, when I saw that, I was so excited myself. My all deans, unfortunately, my deans, my professors, they were all against this mode of exam. Keep on saying, sir, ये नहीं होगा, हम बाद में exam लेंगे, ये तो फिर यूं हो जाएगा. मैंने कहा, hold on, be cool. Control your temperament. And I said, we can do like that. And to really bring them up, किसी को forcefully नहीं कर सकते हो, neither this part nor that part. So I have to be myself a bridge between the two modes. So what I did is I said teachers को, ये थोड़ा सा यूं कर लेते हैं, students को कहा थोड़ा आप यूं हो जाओ. And we did it. And at the end of the day, what I wanted, it happened. And what I wanted, कि उन्होंने कहा कि सर ये 3 दिन दे गए आप इनको एग्जाम. मैंने कहा भाई बलूचिस्तान में बच्चा बैठा है, वो जब पता नहीं वो कब उसके पास लाइट चली जाएगी, कब उसके पास जनरेटर होगा नहीं होगा, how will he have a connectivity, how he can be attempting this question. But you see what I did, is that I developed the questions. You need a personal dedication. Almost, I must acknowledge myself, frankly, almost I gone through all the question papers, first question paper of every teacher, first. Well, there's a list of the question papers. So I said, now come here, whosoever it was, he was or she was. And so I said, ये जो अभी आप क्वेश्चन दे रहे हो ना, ये वही क्वेश्चन है जिसकी आप मुखालफत कर रहे हो. ये आप दोगे तो ये यूं हो जाएगा. Go back, edit your question paper, make it difficult, make it come out of this conventional mode. Ask them, to have a general aspects to be covered. Make an assignment mode. Make some sort of a general literature mode. Ask them to go and survey of your subject. Ask them to go and see the present research is happening in that subject. So you see, we transform even in fact the undergrad education into the research. And honestly, I tell you, when I went through the answer copies of my students at that time, they were entirely different. And even some students say, sir, ये 3 दिन जिनको सब कुछ available था. I mean, a student from Karachi, a student from Hyderabad, a student from Sakhar, they were saying, sir, 3 दिन बहुत कम है. इसमें कुछ और time चाहिए था. So you look at that. And I wish this shall continue, frankly speaking. मुझे पता नहीं students क्या चाहते हैं, but this is what I believe. And I've seen that the students have opening of their mind. They have a versatility in their attempts. So the same way, I think ये बहुत बड़ा एक इशू है जिसको अभी हमें देखना होगा किस तरह ये चल रहा है. But I am very happy and I am very proud to be Pakistani, frankly. Again, I was going through one survey. People from the Oxford University, they did a research of 5 parts of the world. They took the USA, the Europe, India, Pakistan, and Indonesia. So the first is the resilient come from USA. The second is Europe. But then the Pakistan is at third, which is very good to see. I mean, we crossed the India and the Indonesia. India not in that context. I mean, India is also good. We are also good. But ये सिर्फ एक comparison की मैं study बता रहा हूँ. We were at number 3. I mean, in this part of the region, we were at the top, frankly, if we come out from the Europe and USA. तो देखें, और ये true है. आप खुद देख लें अपने आप को. हमने किस तरह से survive किया है. हमने अपनी economy को किस तरह संभाला. In fact, in that particular time. So I hope that Pakistan, and I am very much proud that Pakistan did well, Pakistan will do well in such pandemic. और वैसे भी हम थोड़े बहुत से crisis के वैसे ही हम समझदार हो. जब crisis आ जाता है तो हम तैयार हो जाते हैं, नहीं तो फिर हम सो जाते हैं. So I think we have this temperament, we have this nature in our maybe genes. So hopefully जब भी कोई मुश्किल काम टाइम आएगा, वैसे भी आप आ गया है, आपको पता है 260 रुपये पता नहीं कितना पेट्रोल आ रहा है, और रात फिर बता रहे थे कि 50 रुपये आ रहा है. मैडम ने कहा खुलकर बात करें तो खुलकर कर दें. So you see, you never know that where we are going to end up. Our finance ministers keep on saying अब तक ये है. So you don't know where we are going to end. So thank you very much again making me a part of this institute. It's been my always prestige and my wish that be a part of this institute. I love this gentleman which is here. He is my one of the ideal personality. We all regret this world, this country, this province, the people of this country, the people of this world, the people of this continent miss him. I think we barely miss him. So of course you have a name of this institute with him. So we all are proud. Most, as I said, the most resilient person of the 20th century in this part of the world. और उसके साथ साथ मेरी एक गुजारिश होगी, being educationist, being a part of so many conferences, and one of the introduction was given by a very honorable lady. For me is that being myself a director, continuing education at Mute Jamshoro, I was director ORIC also there, and that time I used to organize such activities, hundreds, thousands, I don't know. The first, in fact, course, the short course, मुझे बताया, मेरे लिए कहा जाता है, I am the first mechanical engineering supervisor at Mehran University. I produced the first PhD in mechanical engineering at Mehran University. मगर मैं उससे ज़्यादा उसको समझता हूँ that I am the first who introduced the first short course in the Mehran University. देखें ये जो short courses और जो चीज़ें होती हैं ये कौम के लिए फ़ायदा देती हैं. PhD मैंने एक को करवा दी, वो अभी तक बड़ा, अब तो ही इज़ अ डीन, बाय द वे ही इज़ अ डीन ऑफ फैकल्टी ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग एट मेहरान यूनिवर्सिटी, प्रोफेसर खान जी. उसको खान जी कहते हैं लोग, वो फ़ायदा लेता है, बट ही इज़ अ खान जी. So the Kanji is there. He is now dean, mashallah. He's a professor, meritorious professor, in fact, grade 22. I'm proud of him. But besides that, I introduced the first course there, like in 2000, year 2000 maybe. That was the first ever short course in Jamshoro and in Mehran University. और उसके बाद आज वहाँ पर माशाल्लाह 3 सेंटर्स खुल गए हैं, जिसमें ORIC भी चल रहा है, कंटिन्यूइंग एजुकेशन भी चल रही है, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप का एक बड़ा umbrella वहाँ पर हो गया है, and HEC has many projects under that directorate. So I am very proud of that. It is working. So ये जो हमारी कॉन्फ्रेंसेस होती हैं, जो हमारे सेमिनार्स होते हैं, उसमें मैं आखिर में एक बात ज़रूर कहना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि हमारी कुछ जीन्स में ये भी चीज़ें हैं. अनफॉर्चुनेटली वो कहते हैं फ़ारसी में मुझे याद नहीं रहता, लेकिन हम आए, हंसे मुके, चाय पी और चले गए. उसको कुछ फ़ारसी में कहते हैं, मैं उसको मिस करता हूँ, वो हमारे कुछ दोस्त बता रहे हैं. तो बट द मैसेज इज़ द सेम. तो होता यह है कि हम बड़ी अच्छी कॉन्फ्रेंसेस करवा देते हैं, और वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ एनर्जी बिहाइंड. आई नो नजम निस्सा, डॉक्टर रियाज शेख, मैडम शहनाज, एंड ऑल ऑफ यू who are the part of this conference, being the organizing committee of this conference, must have done a lot behind. मगर जब कॉन्फ्रेंस ख़त्म हो जाती है तो फिर हम अपने अपने घोंसलों में चले जाते हैं, और हमारे पेपर्स हमारे कपबोर्ड में चले जाते हैं, और फिर जब दूसरी कॉन्फ्रेंस ग्लोबल 3 आएगी, अगेन वी सी वेयर वी स्टैंड. Hopefully it will not be like that. My strong suggestion would be, you do what you can do, then leave to the people what they have to do. You are not supposed to do everything. You shall trust, you shall rely, you shall have a confidence in other sectors as well. So being a Professor Riaz Sheikh, you shall do what you can do, and then let the government of Sindh and the government of Pakistan do what they can do. So my strong suggestion would be that please share your recommendations in a very formal way to all the sectors of education, to all the parts of the policymakers of this country, and then let them follow whatever you have recommended. Thank you very much again, making me a part of this conference. God bless us. Thank you. One thing, madam, sorry, ये प्रोफेसर्स की आदत होती है. One thing which madam said, so I shall not forget my responsibility. She asked me to talk about a bit brief on SMIU for a young generation. So let me tell you, I think वो भी बड़ा एक interesting part होगा. So let me tell you that the SMIU, which is used to be called as the Sindh Madrasatul Islam, is a very historical building, a very historical institute, was established in 1885. So by that time now we are 137 years old, in fact. It was established in 1885. One of the legend, which is an unsung hero of this country, who is Hassan Ali Afandi, Khan Bahadur Hassan Ali Afandi. Afandi is basically a title being given to him by Turkish government. उनको 2 award मिले, 2 लक़ब मिले, एक अफंदी and then the Bey. And the both, basically उनकी माना है एक घर का बड़ा होना, जैसे सर हम कहते थे इंग्लिश में. तो ये 2 उनको टाइटल मिले. एक उनको टाइटल फॉर द एजुकेशन मिला, एक उनको टाइटल मिला जब देयर वाज अर्थक्वेक इन द टर्की, एंड ही कलेक्टेड द मनी फ्रॉम हियर and went there to share that donation with that population. So this is why he was given. However, he is known, and he will be known forever for his efforts to be a founder of this very historical institute. As madam told you, that the Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the founder of this country, he got admission in 1887 when it was just 2 years old, and he did his matriculation from there. And then again he came in 1943 to inaugurate the college, which is SM Science College. And then we became university, in fact, 2012. मैं ये कहता रहता हूँ हर जगह पर कि अगर पाकिस्तान बनने के बाद कोई पहली यूनिवर्सिटी बनना चाहती होती तो वो हो जाती सिंध मदरसतुल इस्लाम. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली, क्योंकि एक लीडिंग इंस्टीट्यूट which produce the hundreds of the people who govern and who guide this country in various sectors, you name it, sports, literature, language, politics, you name it. मैं नहीं समझता कि 19वीं सदी और 20वीं सदी के जो हीरोज हैं इस पार्ट के, not the Pakistan but the heroes of this region, who might do not have did not have a connection with this SMI. तो इसका एक बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन था और होना तो ये चाहिए था कि 1947 में जब पाकिस्तान बना तो ये पहली यूनिवर्सिटी बनना चाहिए थी, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली इट टुक अस 65 ईयर्स, जो जिस एज में आदमी रिटायर हो जाता है, तो हम 65 साल के बाद हमें ये इदारा याद आया अनफॉर्चुनेटली, और हमने इसको यूनिवर्सिटी किया 2012 में. बट एनीवे, देर आयत दुरुस्त आयत. We are working hard, and we started with the 5 departments. At the moment, we have around 13 departments, and out of those 13 departments, the 9 programs are accredited for the PhD. In fact, तो हम उन 13 में से 9 में हम PhD करवा रहे हैं, जिसमें आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस है, सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियरिंग है, इंग्लिश है, एजुकेशन है, कंप्यूटर साइंस है, बिजनेस एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है, मीडिया साइंसेज है. All are the challenging departments of the 21st century. So, mashallah, we are equipped with all the facilities. Our new campus is under construction at Malir, which is halfway, and it's 100 acres land was given to us by the Sindh government, and a scheme was given by the government of Pakistan through higher education, like of 1.5 billion. So, it is under construction. Hopefully, it will be done by next 1.5 years. So, we will be having 2 campuses at the time. I think that's it. But I must say, एक जब मैं आया 2020 में, तो मैंने 2 चीज़ों को आइडेंटिफाई किया. एक, कायदे आज़म को तो वैसे हमने बहुत पढ़ लिया, और कायदे आज़म का हमारे पास जब whenever you have a chance to visit SMIU, you must visit the museum, कायदे आज़म म्यूजियम. तो वहाँ पर हमने उनके एकेडमिक क्रेडेंशियल्स रखे हुए हैं फ्रॉम प्राइमरी टू द बार एट लॉ. तो मैंने देखा कि ये इतनी चीज़ें हमने रखी हुई हैं, but our young generation do not know honestly that what was his educational journey, how was that, and how he did that. तो मैंने वो टॉपिक सेलेक्ट किया जो मेरे ख्याल में यहाँ पे आज तक टच नहीं किया गया. हम उनके पॉलिटिकल विजडम को और उनके प्रोफेशनल विजडम को तो हम पढ़ते रहे हैं, मगर हमने उनकी एजुकेशनल जर्नी को नहीं पढ़ा. तो मैंने उसको एक सेलेक्ट किया. एंड द अदर वाज, एज आई सेड, दैट अनसंग हीरो व्हिच इज आवर हसन अली आफंदी. तो मैंने डॉन से लेकर काविश तक I circulated to write on these 2 topics. But I don't know where was something wrong. We didn't receive a single article. ये सोशल मीडिया पे भी था और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मीडिया पे भी था, प्रिंट मीडिया में भी था, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली I don't know. So again I have done that. So please share your thoughts about these 2 on these 2 topics. You are, sitting from the education department, so I hope you will contribute that. Thank you once again very much. Thank you again. I took a bit more time. I hope that will be adjusted. Thank you. God bless you.
Sorry, Doctor. I was not supposed to speak now, but anyhow, after listening to you, I got some encouragement. And Madam Shaynaz was saying, yeah, I should speak. Dr. Saab has very humbly mentioned Sindh Madrasa. I think Sindh Madrasa has a vast history. Sindh Madrasa is equivalent to Aligarh University. Sindh Madrasa is equivalent to University of Punjab in Lahore. Sindh Madrasa is equivalent to University of Calcutta as well, because Sindh Madrasa played very important role in creating a new middle class in Sindh. And as we have just mentioned the name of founder of Pakistan, but Sindh Madrasa has a long history. Entire Sindh intellectual society, all this cream emerged from Sindh Madrasa. You name Sir Abdullah Harun, came from Sindh Madrasa. Amar Jalil, the renowned intellectual from Sindh, came from Sindh Madrasa. Sai Ibrahim Joyo came from Sindh Madrasa. I can count a name. There's a galaxy of the name who came from Sindh Madrasa. And I have no hesitation to say if there was no Sindh Madrasa, hardly Muslims can emerge as an intellectual class in Sindh. My father did his matriculation, because at that time matriculation was the highest degree people used to earn, and he completed from Bombay University. And you will not believe it, where used to be the examination center, not in Sindh, in Junagadh. My father used to travel from this ferry service from there to Junagadh and appear in matriculation examination from the University of Bombay. There was no university. So Sindh Madrasa has a vast history, rich history. Sindh Madrasa has not only history, but you have one of the best architecture as far as architecture is concerned. Secondly, you have a rich history in many senses. I will suggest, Dr. Saab, you can open your university for a field visits of the students as well. How a university emerged from a simple madrasa towards a university which played a long history and contribution. As I mentioned, you are the contemporary of Aligarh University. Your Punjab University had a lot of benefits, but Sindh Madrasa started from the periphery. You were not from the core. You came from area, and the personal contribution of a person, Hassan Ali Afandi, who is not mentioned in our mainstream history, and it's a time that we should start mentioning, and we should take proud of all those people who work as an individual for the contribution of Hassan. Sorry for my untimely intervention. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for unfolding lots and lots of information from history. An amazing journey was just revealed by Dr. Saab, with the lots of inspiration, lots of hand-holding, lots of thriving, and lots of resilience. That was really, really amazing. जिस तरह उन्होंने खुल के बात की, मैं चाहता हूँ एक दफ़ा खुल के डॉक्टर साहब के लिए तालियां हम भी बजाएं ताकि वो याद रखें कि कॉन्फ्रेंस के लिए आए थे. Now I call upon on stage once again Madam Shaynaz Vasir Ali. Please grace us on stage, and Dr. Moji Boudin Memon Sahab for a small ceremony. We will be presenting him a token of appreciation, a shield and a souvenir. Dr. Sahab, please on stage, and Madam Saiba. Big round of applause for both the dignitaries, please. May I also request Dr. Najmunissa Khan to accompany us on stage, and Dr. Riaz Ahmed Sheikh Sahab.
Before I present this speech on behalf of Zabes, sir, I also want to recall, and you mentioned that.
Yeah. The other part was when he introduced me that I am the best teacher award, having the best teacher award. So I received the best teacher award in 2009 from the Madam. So we have such a long. There were two, even in fact, there were two ladies. One is the late, Murtaza Wahab's mother, Madam Fozia Wahab. She was the chief guest and she was the host. I received the award from the two ladies. I am proud of that. Again, so it's after 13 years? 13 years again. Thank you.
Can I? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May I request my colleague Rosie to come on stage and announce the next segment.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure for us to introduce our keynote speaker. Our first keynote speaker is Dr. Charis Clark, is an associate professor and department chair of educational leadership at Clark University, Atlanta, USA, who works with the leaders in educational leadership department to prepare them to work in diverse schools locally, nationally, and internationally. So let's see what he is presenting. Over to you, sir.
Greetings. I would like to thank the Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto Institute for Science and Technology for inviting me to speak to you today. The title of my speech is Resilience is Not Easy. This year marks my 16th year working in the field of education. Since my first year of teaching, I have studied resilience in educators. I have observed my own resilience decrease and increase. In fact, I have questioned my abilities as an educator. I thought I knew something about guiding educators towards resilience. After all, I have coached many educators in cultivating their own resilience and written on this topic. And then there was a pandemic, not to mention distance learning. Let us not forget the whiplash of now we are back in person. No, we are not. Yes, we are. I never learned as much about resilience as I have during these past 2 years. I have had to reach deep into my toolbox of transformational coaching strategies to help educators in P12 and higher education navigate challenges, changes, and a turbulent sea of emotions. Over and over, I have told myself to trust the coaching process, trust the journey, because I have doubted whether I was helping. I continue to process the lessons learned, but I would like to share a few preliminary conclusions. I share these with you now as this academic year has ended, in hopes that you might reflect on your resilience and consider how to shore it up. None of us could have predicted the coronavirus pandemic, but that is the thing about crises. They are rarely predictable. We will always encounter uncertainty, adversity, and unexpected events in our personal and professional lives. Hopefully, we will never experience another school year as challenging as these last two, and yet we might. Educators have a unique opportunity to deepen their resilience by engaging in a thoughtful, intentional reflection process. This is a key moment to understand that resilience is built when we experience adversity and emerge stronger than we were before. One way we can feel stronger is by being able to point to what we learned from this difficult experience. Whether the challenges that come our way are the size of a pebble or a mountain, we can all benefit from boosting our resilience. It is possible that we will return to something closer to normal next year. But from start to end, 2020 through 2022 has been full of uncertainty, fatigue, fear, and a need for flexibility that has stretched even the most agile educators. We might be tempted to slam the door shut on this school year and simply look forward. However, we should reflect on this year and identify insights gained. We do not need to find silver linings, and it often does not help to say everything happens for a reason. But being able to point to learnings builds resilience. And to clarify, resilience enables us to thrive, not just survive. It is time we aim higher than mere survival. First, a definition. Resilience is the ability to thrive and not just survive. It is how we deal with adversity, by drawing on our inner resources so that we can emerge from a tough time stronger and better equipped to deal with setbacks or challenges. A resilient person does not just muscle their way through a tough moment. A resilient person experiences and expresses a wide range of emotions and intentionally takes a number of actions to get through that moment. Human beings are wired to want to learn. The anthropologist Edward T. Hall wrote, "Humans are the learning organism par excellence." Add to this the fact that educators have chosen to be in a profession centered around learning. Ironically, most professional learning for educators leaves much to be desired, but offering educators the opportunity to reflect on an experience is professional development and boosts resilience. What I am saying is this: do not finish this school year without engaging in your own reflection. and offer those you lead, coach, and supervise the opportunity to reflect and identify their learnings. Engage in this process together. By reflecting as a team, you will build collective resilience. Collective resilience is a group's ability to respond to challenges or unexpected change, which is not necessarily the sum of each individual person's resilience. You can have a group of people who are individually resilient, but when they come together, their group dynamics result in low levels of collective strength. But a team can get stronger by going through a tremendous challenge together, if they have an opportunity to process together what they experienced and share insights. Here is the process I use with teams and individuals at the end of the school year. First, I will share that the purpose of this process is to identify our individual and collective learnings from the 2020 through 2022 school years. Explore how we each experience these years and build a stronger community. We will block out a few hours for this reflection, not necessarily all on the same day. There will be a mix of time for people to think and write, and then to talk, listen, and dialogue. I will offer prompts such as the following. What did you learn about yourself as a person this year? What did you learn about yourself as an educator, coach, leader, etc.? What did you learn about learning? What did you learn about creating conditions for learning? What did you learn about students? What did you learn about your team? What did you learn about your emotions? What did you learn about your resilience? What did you learn about what you need in order to thrive? I also like to ask people to fill in the blanks in this statement. In the beginning of the year, I thought blank, and I learned blank. I recently asked an educator I coached to do this. He responded, in the beginning of the year, I thought I would never be able to connect with my students over Zoom the way I do in person. I thought there would be no way I could have the impact I usually have as an instructor. I thought I should consider other careers, and I learned new ways of connecting virtually, and that some students revealed more about themselves than they might have in person. I found a way to bring myself into virtual teaching that felt almost like who I am when I am with students in person. I learned that I love teaching even when it is really, really hard. I will also invite groups of educators to do one of the following activities. Draw a simply illustrated timeline of the year and mark significant highs, lows, and learning moments. Recall conversations with others that were particularly helpful or insightful. Capture this reflection in a storyboard format of dialogue boxes emerging from stick figures. Show us. If this school year were a body movement you could represent, such as running in place or crouching, what would it be? As I engage teams in reflection, I will use online platforms such as Padlet, basically a virtual bulletin board. In the end, we have a collective picture in words and images of how this year was experienced and what was learned by all of us. It is key as you facilitate the reflection process to emphasize what was learned. Leaders and coaches need to drive people to find insights about their learnings. However, be sure to not skim over the pain. There has been tremendous loss, including loss of lives, since the outbreak of the pandemic. We must acknowledge that tragedy and create space to share that loss. Whenever you coach individuals or lead teams, recognize, acknowledge, and honor all the emotions that arise. Although this school year has been exceptionally hard, and although I have experienced a great deal of insecurity about my skills, I have learned a lot. I know that if I give myself the time and space to truly process, and if I share these reflections with others, I will emerge from this year stronger than I was at the start of 2020. I know I will be able to apply my learnings to whatever comes next, which I truly hope will be the routine ups and downs of life. I hope you also will take advantage of this opportunity to boost your resilience, and that of the people you support. So here are 3 things a resilient educator does. While these are based on what I have learned these last 2 years, they affirm a career's worth of research. Number 1, a resilient educator reflects. When we slow down and reflect, we seek a deeper understanding of ourselves. We want to unpack our thoughts, feelings, and actions. And this process of reflection yields insights that we can act on. The most resilient educators whom I coached in the last 2 years were those who paused and explored their experiences and emotions, and who through that process were able to say things like, I need to prioritize building community with my students. I love teaching, just not virtual teaching. And I want to make a change in my work life. Every educator will come to their own unique insights, but it is the process of reflection that cultivates resilience. And here is a resilience tip. When we can take actions that are aligned to our core values, we feel more competent, and able. We build resilience. Reflection can happen with someone else, a coach, colleague, therapist, or friend. Or it can happen independently through writing or another form of processing. Consistency is key. Reflection is a practice, and the more you do it, the deeper you go. It can feel uncomfortable, and you can arrive at conclusions that are hard to accept. I have known educators who decided they needed to leave the profession. But you also arrive at truths, and truths are empowering. How can you prioritize reflection this year? Which structures can you establish to ensure that you have time and space to reflect? For example, can you plan for a monthly gathering with colleagues? Could you commit to 10 minutes on a Friday afternoon to journal about the week? Number 2, a resilient educator sets boundaries. In the beginning of the pandemic, I say educators worked more hours than they ever had before. New schedules had to be made. New technology had to be learned. A new curriculum had to be created, and so on. There was a lot of fear about how the pandemic would impact students' learning, and there was a sense of urgency and pressure to get it right. Then I saw depression, anxiety, and burnout skyrocket. Of course, there was a lot to be said and scared about, but the educators I observed who quickly curtained the symptoms of burnout were those who set boundaries. They said, I cannot make a 7 p.m. meeting, even if it is on Zoom. I have been in front of the computer all day, so I am not going to come to the staff social on Zoom. I am not working this weekend. They set boundaries with their families, with their work, and around their own expectations for themselves. Boundaries preserve our energy. Which boundaries do you need to set for this year? What might be possible if you held firm to those boundaries? What would you do with the energy you would retain? Number 3, a resilient educator is clear on what matters most. In challenging times, we are pushed to make decisions, often without having all the information we want or need. These decision-making moments can send us into a tailspin, questioning ourselves, deliberating endlessly, or acting impulsively, and sometimes we do not make the best decisions. Think about all of the decisions you had to make in the 2020 through 2022 school years. How do you feel about those now? Resilient educators are clear on what matters most and forge ahead in ways that are aligned to their core values. This means that decision-making moments do not drain them. In fact, they become opportunities to connect with what is most important. In challenging situations, we often feel disempowered. But when we can take actions that are aligned to our core values, we feel more confident, competent, and able. We build resilience. What matters to you? What are your core values? How do you live your core values? How can your core values guide the decisions you need to make this school year? Many of us are eager to get back to something like normal. I get it. And yet our world has changed. We have changed. That is sad and scary and painful. And there is so much for us to learn about ourselves, our communities, and our resilience. If we could gather those lessons and apply them, everyone would benefit. As you move into this school year, I hope you will find time to reflect on these last 2 years, on who you are now, and on what you want to create in your life and in your school going forward. In doing so, you will build resilience. And when that next obstacle presents itself in your path, you will have more resources to navigate it. Again, thank you for the invitation. Have a wonderful conference.
So yes, it's very, very important that we, hello. So it's very, very important for all of us to be a reflective practitioner, to be resilient. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the tea break. I request all the dignitaries to be escorted by Dr. Rabia towards the boardroom for the tea. And then we all will proceed towards the 99 campus cafeteria for the tea. Right after 15 minutes, we all will resume here for the next keynote and panel discussion. So we will be meeting here at 11:55, that is 5 minutes to 12, inshallah ta'ala.